If a video has shitty audio, then I'm just I'm gonna stop watching it. Let me know if this has happened to you. Have you ever been on YouTube or just any stream, any kind of internet platform or whatever, and even in movies, but have you been watching something or been really excited to watch something, and then you start watching it and you start noticing that it's just a little bit off, and the further you watch, the more you watch, you start to realize that it's actually the audio that sounds terrible, whether the levels are just all over the place or the audio itself just is it's just really distracting. And I mean, I'm talking about like drastic like differences, like to the point where like you can't even focus on what's going on because the audio is just that bad, and it gets to the point where the video is basically just unwatchable, and the unwatchability or the badness of the audio overrides the ability or the willingness or excitement or enthusiasm to watch the video, whatever the subject matter may be. That happens to me all the time, even in movies. My background before video was audio. I was a recording drummer and did a lot of my life revolved around audio for years. So because of that, I say that because I feel like a lot of people, when a lot of video guys will focus on the image or the image quality of the camera, if the camera can shoot in RAW, like what can it shoot in 4K, 8K, whatever. But I feel like a lot of them don't really pay it, like audio is just an afterthought, and I don't think that's intentional. I think that's just a byproduct of like when you're obsessed over like what the image looks like. I think it's easy to really forget what the about the audio, and I would argue that the audio is just as important, if not more important, than like a pretty image. And with audio, there's about a million, kind of like video, there's a million different tools that you can use, and there's a million different ways to get you really good audio. And it really comes down to the application, and like video, like depending on like what lens you should use to convey a specific emotion or a specific feeling that you want your audience to feel. Same thing with audio. Depending on the audio device that you use, that can have an impact on your overall video itself. A good example would be if I was using a shotgun mic instead of this microphone, it would give you a completely different vibe versus this. This is a little more narration driven and a little bit more storytelling driven, versus with a shotgun mic where you can't see the audio, it feels like you're more in person with me because I'm not holding a microphone. If I was holding a microphone talking to you next to me, you would think I was crazy. All that being said, both of them, a shotgun mic or this, can give you really good audio, but they have different applications and they create their own kind of vibe. And for me, the reason that I kind of switched or transitioned or have been using this microphone setup a lot more than just a really good shotgun microphone isn't because I think this is better. It's just this kind of fits the vibe of my videos that I want to convey a little more accurately. I want it to feel like I am recording the audio after the fact in a narration kind of like day in the life type of scenario, but I'm able to get that vibe with the spontaneity that vlogging, like that comes with vlogging, like you would have like with a traditional microphone, if that makes sense. And these microphones sound really good. They sound similar to a really legendary microphone that I was using before this, but the problem is I would have to have like it was way too much equipment. I was using an SM7B before, and this sounds really close to that. If you don't know what the SM7B is, just look it up. And it's a really popular podcasting microphone, and this sounds really close to that. To give you a little context, this is what the internal microphones of my iPhone sounds like. And this is what the DJI mic sounds like with the transmitter and receiver being used, like the transmitter's plugged into the phone. It sounds a lot better, right? One thing that I've really had to learn just over the course of doing like audio stuff more than video as to how to properly, it's called how to properly get levels for microphones. The technical fancy term is gain staging. Basically what you're doing when you're gain staging is you're finding a middle ground to where it's not too quiet, because if it's too quiet then you'll get some nasty like hissing, or on the other end you don't want it to be too loud to where it's going to be distorting and clipping where it just sounds really nasty and like buzzy. You wanting to find a sweet spot, and this is going to be different for every person. It just literally depends on how loud you talk. Typically I'm a pretty soft spoken person. The microphone that I have on my camera, I have it set to -10, and then for these DJI mics the receiver is at -11 and the transmitter, which is this thing, is at -4, meaning that total for the DJI it's -15. And then what I do is I will raise it in post or lower it in post, and typically the reason that I want to have it be lower than like be that low is to prevent, like if something like let's say I'm talking outside and a motorcycle or a loud car goes by and I have to raise my voice, I don't want the raising of my voice to cause the clip to distort or get a nasty like buzzy type of thing. To give you guys a little context on what we're actually doing, we're in a town called Brentwood, California, and the reason that we're here is for two reasons. The first reason is we had a business meeting with a couple that were shooting their wedding this week, just to kind of go over some details and all that stuff. And the second reason is Savannah actually has a shoot later tonight at 6, and we're just staying here because it's like 30 minutes to 40 minutes to go back to the place that we're staying, and it just right now it's 4 o'clock and it just made more sense to stay here, and we're just that's what we're doing. That's why we're in the car right now. And yeah, I do want to get, we just had food, but I really didn't have a lot of food for one reason and one specific reason only, and that's for where we're going right now. If you grew up on the West Coast or any place that had like really like authentic, like California and Arizona and all those places, you'll be able to relate to this. But growing up, I went to high school right around the corner right here, and within walking distance there was this Mexican restaurant, and it was a kind of Mexican restaurant that they only take cash, and it's kind of like sketchy, like hole in the wall, but it's like still like safe because it's in any event, and the burritos are like $4, but the portions are huge. Well, there's this place that I grew up going to called La Costa, and that's exactly what this is. This was like $4, and it was cash. We had to pay cash. Yeah, and then that's what I was. Yeah, this place is so good. You don't see Chipotle giving portions like this for $4. I'm just saying. I feel like the biggest takeaway with audio is it's going to be when artists record things in studios, typically it's not unheard of for different microphones to sound better with different people's voices. Every microphone has its own color, has its own unique sound, and you try to pair it best with best with like whoever's voice that you're working on. And microphones with when you're shooting with video and stuff like that are no different. You basically just have to find or figure out the best microphone for that specific instance, that specific shoot, and that specific person. And I know for me, I know what works best for my voice and the way my characteristics are. Typically I need a microphone that is going to have better like low mid response because my voice isn't the deepest, and now somebody with a deeper voice can get away with some cheaper microphones that don't have that low mid response. The Rode VideoMic Pro Plus is a really good microphone. It's an older microphone, but it still sounds incredible. I think that one sounds the best over most people's voices. These DJI mics are probably the best microphones that I've tested for my voice. And then for Sony, the ECM B1M is an incredible microphone for my voice, and I think most people's voices. because of the way that the audio is recorded. It's not recorded through a headphone jack. It's recorded through the hot shoe. And if you're interested in more of that stuff, just look it up on the internet and you'll find all the information that you ever would need. I think the only way that you're going to find a microphone that works for you is just by testing a lot of them. I know some people that like the Rode, the little $100 short microphone with the terrible shock mount, that red shock mount. Some people that works great for them. For me, it makes me sound really nasally and it doesn't make me sound the best. Basically, what I'm trying to say is find a microphone that's good that fits your voice the best, and then if you want to change a couple of things in EQ, you can. But I think it's a better, at least my way of approaching microphones is I want it to sound as good as it possibly can out of the box, and that way if I want to enhance it later, then I can, but I'm not trying to like fix a problem that's there because of the microphone. I think the final takeaway for this video is going to be, don't be afraid to invest in audio or microphones. I think it's really silly that we spend so much time and so much effort researching and investing in camera lenses, and like ND filters and LUTs, all this other stuff, but we don't really spend a ton of time upgrading the audio. Like I said at the beginning of this video, whenever I come across a video that sounds terrible, but then I'm not gonna watch it. Like, it doesn't matter how good it looks. If the audio is terrible, that's just annoying, and I'd rather just watch something else that has better or decent audio. One thing that I did forget about living in like this area in California is there's no humidity, which for me, I like that a lot more. In the humidity, I'm sweating all the time.